Have you ever seen two squirrels mating? Because it's more dramatic than I thought it would be.
No, I haven't, but I have seen two birds doing it, and it is pretty shocking. That Mother Nature, she sure has a dirty mind.
Why do I even bother wearing anything white ever? It's like the universe lies in wait to spill something on me.
Sarah, don't underestimate a waffle coma. In terms of food comas, it's up there.
It sure is. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants more than anything for you to do just that.
Episode 153. We took a wee bit break to gather our thoughts.
did.
Thanks, y'all,
Yes.
for standing by. I just want to say, you all are just the best. You all okay out there?
Yeah. Check in, y'all. Send up a flare.
Yes.
Let us know how you're doing. Because we
missed
certainly
you.
hope you're doing well. Yeah, Heather and I took a. I mean, this is mostly my fault. I kind of had a busy week of like doctor's appointments and nothing crazy or anything, but just stuff that got in the way of life. So we took a little summer vacay,
A little breather.
Give us
Well,
a
it wasn't a
week.
vacay. I wouldn't say that. We were both at home. We didn't go off to any tropical island or anything.
True that.
Which I'd like to do,
vacay,
but
as in
it's another story.
not doing this. Although this is barely considered work. Assuming Heather and I are just like happy to hang out with each other. So
Yeah.
we're glad to have you along for the ride.
We are definitely glad to have you back. We're glad to be back. This is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. We hope that's what it is. Maybe our show has morphed over time and it's turned into something else. Let us know. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed. Write us early and often.
Yes,
we love
please.
to have feedback. Well, Heather, I'm not sure
Talk
how
to me.
your week has been. Yeah, I actually
Talk to
had
me,
like
Goose.
I'm making it seem like I'm about to tell some dramatic story, which I'm not. But over the last week, we're in the throes of summer here. It's hot. It's just hot all the time.
Yeah, it's
At
like all of a
night-
sudden, like winter's over and it's boiling hot.
Yeah, it is boiling hot. At night, it cools off. You might even need a light jacket. But during the day, it's pretty darn hot. So luckily, I'm very, very fortunate enough to have an AC unit in my apartment because it would be untenable otherwise. I don't even know who could live in there. Like there are no amount of fans that would help. But because of that, I've got this kind of weird like outdoor hot AC thing going on that I usually have only gotten like a cold from when I was in climates where it was a little bit more humid, like the East Coast, for example, like, New York in the summer type thing.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, there's too much like back and forth, like my lungs can't handle it. Now I'm sick.
Yeah, totally.
I don't feel that way now, but I'm kind of bracing. I'm kind of bracing for, all right, we got a few more months of intense AC happening in the house because there's no way around it. And all that jazz.
How do you feel about AC?
Well, I love it when I'm too hot.
Yeah, I have to say it is a nice change to not need AC. Like, even though I do bitch and moan sometimes about it can be chillier up here. Obviously, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, but today is a gorgeous day. It's been really warm and nice, but like not too hot where I need an AC. I just crack a window. Put a fan on. I mean, throughout the summer, the last few summers I've been here, we have had to use a fan to circulate the room, but it's so nice not to have to even think about AC. Because I mean, I lived in LA for a long time. I did live in New York. I had my stint in San Francisco where we didn't really need an AC.
No,
And I'm
like
kind
maybe
of not an AC
one or
girl.
2 days a year kind of thing.
Yeah, I think because I didn't grow up with AC, so for me, I think
Neither
it was
did
a
I.
little bit of a stretch. I was like, oh God, people live with this every day. Like I don't like those AC units, like, and they drip and yeah, they do something to your sinuses and they don't seem healthy to me.
Well,
I might be
Heather, it's funny that you mention dripping because, and this is just sort of like something it's a maintenance thing. It's not anything that I think anybody did wrong, but I had an AC unit, like a split unit, heat AC, installed in my house a couple of years ago now. Gosh, probably to the day almost. And, works really well. Again, I have a small apartment, so things either heat up or cool down pretty quickly, which is nice. But the way that the pipes have come in from the outside, because they have to come in from a unit outside, they have started dripping in places where I'm now that person who has like a Tupperware thing like on the floor in a certain place. And in the morning
Do you hear it dripping? It's like
not
plunk,
really.
plunk.
No, it's not like near where I'm sleeping, but it's still something where it's like, well, I don't want it to just like permeate the floor. So it's on the
Yeah.
list, Heather. It's on the list of things to fix.
There is no Shangri-La, as I have said, and you've got a wonderful climate there for the most part. I mean, it's not perfect, but nowhere's perfect. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah.
I would rather have. Like, I love that I don't have to have AC up here, but I wouldn't mind a few extra warm days
Sure.
per year. So what is
Yeah.
it that I want? What would I take over the other? It's like these trade-offs, and I feel your pain. But yeah, it's so funny. I think you'll relate to this, Sarah, but like the other day, I think it was Friday or Saturday. It might have been both of those days, but I had such a good day. Like I had such good days, it was like very remarkable, and
Yeah, where you're just like happy all day.
yeah, I was like, oh, life's good. It's so great to be alive. Like, ooh, I was singing in the car and, laughing and laughing at strange moments. But that's a story for another day. But then yesterday was kind of the pits. It was kind of an up and down pit pendulum, if you will. And
And you're referring to yesterday being Father's Day.
yesterday being Sunday, being Father's Day, and
Yeah.
just really like you can't even look away for a second, and like life just like keeps you on your tippy toes, it really does, because you're like one day to the next you're like, oh, I'm good, like I'm having such a good day, I'm riding such a good wave, and then
Yeah.
boom, you're like, whoa, I've never thought of that before, oh, that bums me out, or something. So
Yeah.
yesterday, I mean, it was interesting because I often have this weird time warp thing we've talked about on the show a million times, where I'll like wake up, or I'm like, at some point in the day, I will be like, wait, what day is it? Oh, it's Tuesday because this, and I got to do this. And, so I do that all the time now. And it probably is from the pandemic and just, kind of having this certain routine, I guess. But I even woke up on Sunday
Oh, I
morning.
mean, Heather, like, let's be honest. The entire world talks about the fact that they have no idea what day it is or what
I know
time it
it
is
is
anymore.
true. It is true.
Yeah.
It was a big theme over
you're
the
not
last couple
alone.
years. No, I'm definitely not alone. And I survived another Hallmark holiday. I actually, funny because I woke up and I didn't even remember that it was Father's Day. It was sort of another day. It was a Sunday, and it took me like, oh wait, it's Father's Day. Duh. And then I had a great morning. I just like, it was a beautiful sunny day, and just like took care of some stuff. And I ended up going to a great yoga class, and, singing in the car. It was good. But like in the middle of the day at some point, I don't know. I kind of was like, oh man, like I don't know. I didn't hear from certain people, and I knew people were really busy. And it was just sort of one of those kind of a slight rabbit hole where I was like, oh,
It's
man,
like that pit in your stomach where you're like, no, don't do this, but you kind of can't help it.
Exactly. And I was like, but I started off the day like really on a good foot. Like I was cool. And then I just, in the middle of the day, it was so quiet. It was so just quiet. Sundays, the thing is like Sundays, people are always doing, it's kind of whether it's a church day for you or not, it's a sacred day. It's like, some people, a lot of people have their rituals on Sunday, right? They're getting ready for the week.
Yeah,
They're with their families,
exactly.
whatever. And so, I don't expect people to like, run my phone off the hook or anything. But I was like, it's kind of like you and I chatted a little bit, and you reminded me of the fact that not everybody understands, what you're going through. Obviously, people are busy with their lives. It's fine. I made it over that hump of kind of like, like I'm slipping down this hole a little bit, but I kind of pull myself back out. And, I have like relative minimal scarring. And, I was like kind of slightly hungover too, which helped. But
It helps, but it sometimes can make someone a little weepy as well.
yeah, I
when
think
they were like, I
alcohol
don't feel
is-
great today.
You're right. It's an emotional inducing thing. It really is. It totally
Yeah.
makes me more weepy. Anyway, so the one good thing that came out of yesterday was, that I had gone to this really pretty special like nursery that's kind of inland, and they do all the native plants and like azaleas and rhodies and all the stuff that just grows around here. And I stumbled upon this really cool looking hydrangea, and both my sister and I kind of like saw it at the same time. We're like, oh my God, we should plant that for Dad. And so it was this like awesome thing that we did together. I got the shovel out. In fact, what was extra awesome about it, Sarah, was that most of the gardening I've done around here has been in already dirt piles or areas that there was some other previous plant and it's already kind of ready and you just turn the soil or whatever.
Established. Yeah.
Yes. But we've run out of real estate. I'm like, I don't know where to put this thing because you don't want to put it too close to the ocean. They don't, whatever, all the rules. And so I ended up finding a totally new spot where I like dug up the grass, like made a new hole. And that really felt special because I was like, we walked around and we like, assessed the land and kind of decided on this little place that was right out in front of my house and in between the ADU where my sister stays when she's here. And it was just very special. It was just this ritual that me and my sister, just we had a lot of fun doing it, and it helped a lot. We put all these agates that my dad had found at the beach like around, and I kind of put like some mulch around it and put like a circle around it, and we put the rest of his ashes in there because this is kind of a funny little like dark humor, but like when we got my dad's ashes, like you need a container, right? And I don't know why, but I guess my stepmom wanted to be creative with the container, and so she ended up going to Michael's of all places and got these like ceramic. They were like kind of nice. They were ceramic with like a wood lid, but like on the outside it said something hokey. It had like a plant on it, and it said like, what did it say? It was like "plant me up" or just some cheesy, silly, hokey saying.
Maybe not appropriate for ashes.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting choice, but I think she was really scrambling at the time, and like we just didn't have a lot of options. It was pandemic and supply chain. I don't know. We just didn't have a lot of options, so it was an interesting thing where we we're like, my dad's not going to want to stay in this weird hokey container for the rest of his life. I knew he'd want to be in the ground. So like we had a whole ritual.
I mean, even like in general, everybody's different, but I would say most people would like their ashes either to, I don't know, be in a crematorium, right?
Yeah.
Or scattered somewhere that's meaningful, not on a mantle.
No.
Like,
I know my dad.
Whoever
he
sat
wouldn't
on a
want that.
mantle when they were alive, like, why do you want to be there now?
I could hear my dad right now. First of all, he wouldn't like that container, like super hokey. He would use that word too. And yeah, he wouldn't want to be trapped on our mantle. He would think that was just laughable. Like, are you kidding me? That it was wrong that he was even there for the last like 5 months, But anyway, it made me think about
things sometimes these sorts of things take a little time. You have to
do.
think about it. And it sounds like from your story that it was really meaningful and it made you feel really good.
It did. It turned my day around. And then my sister and I actually took ourselves to my dad's favorite restaurant, we went out to dinner like for him, like, cause that's what we would do for Father's Day. And, it was really cute. We got a little teary eyed at the table, but we got a nice bottle of wine and we had a lot of laughs, just about, it was a very meaningful conversation.
About life.
And
yeah,
it really was. And it was just like, we're both in this together in this huge like paradigm shift. And so it ended up being, it ended on a high note. And what I wanted to bring up, because I know everybody's different out there. And I know that all y'all have been through a lot. And I guess I've lived kind of a charmed life. A lot of people have told me that. In fact, just this weekend, a couple people, like my aunt and like my dad used to tell me this, like, I guess I never really thought of it as a charmed life because it was my life. And I just always wanted to have fun and do great things. And so to me, it didn't seem like it was so special or whatever. It was because and so
it's all you knew.
It's all I knew. And you take it for granted in a way, but like being reminded that Heather, you've had a really charmed life thus far, and so this whammy of 2021, I wasn't really prepared for it in a way because I haven't had the other, I've never really had these experiences to kind of build up or thicken my skin or whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to mention because I never really put a lot of stock into Hallmark holidays because I just always knew, it's very American. Just run with it.
Valentine's,
Hallmark holidays, whatever. Yeah.
Mom's and Dad's Day.
Yeah. And it's just, of course, I'd send cards to my parents and like maybe do something fun on Valentine's Day. I don't know. But I never really thought about it that much. And they were mostly happy. I mean, I feel like they were mostly days where it's a reason to have a glass of wine and celebrate with someone you love. Great. I love it. But I never thought in a million years that it would be not so fun. Like, oh gosh, now I have all these like landmines throughout the calendar. Like, so is it going to be every single year that I'm going to feel kind of a pit in my stomach every time a Mom's Day rolls around? It's like, I need to turn it on its head. I got to figure out how to make it something that I can look forward to and make it make a new ritual, make a new tradition.
Well, I think you already have your answer, honestly, Heather. I really I know that you are at heart a very festive person. You like to go the extra mile to make things fun. We're having a fun day. This is our fun theme, kind of thing. You're really good at that. At the same time, I think you have to, just give yourself a break because the last Father's Day, you weren't even, reality hadn't even set in yet, kind of thing.
Definitely not.
This is sort of, and, I'm speaking from experience. Of course, I'm not speaking for you, but I think that for a lot of us, that kind of oh, this is how I'm going to feel every year. This sucks.
Yeah.
And everyone else just sort of is living their lives and they don't really know how crappy I feel right now.
Exactly.
And that is, that is in the eye of the beholder, right? I mean, we have the power to take, control of this as much as we can. But it does take time. It really does.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens in 365 days.
No,
I think
you're
it
right.
happens over time, over a period of years where you just kind of go okay, that's how life is.
Yeah, it's everything. It's just it's almost like a blank canvas now where it's okay, now what do I do going forward? I don't know, but we fabricate. I know I do. I fabricate in my mind what the next few years are going to be like in terms of those days. And it's you don't know that. You don't know that you're going to have that pit in your stomach.
You don't even know what you're going to be doing in 1 year from today. Who knows? You could live on Mars. I don't know. I'm not going to, but you could.
No, let's, I won't do that. I promise. I won't do that. But it does make me think about all the people out there. You might be one of them who like me, don't have a dad anymore, or weren't close to a parent maybe, or maybe they decided to not become a dad or a mom, et cetera, et cetera. It's
there might be,
I get it. Because
cut off reasons for other things besides death. I mean,
exactly.
There are a lot of reasons that people, and I don't know. I mean, I know enough folks, and I've talked about this on the show, ad nauseum, but I know enough folks in my life, really wonderful people who have not had the best time with their families.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's different and it's all very fascinating to me. And I sure hope I do my best to listen.
Yeah.
In fact, I talked to a childhood friend the other day and, she filled me in on a bunch of stuff and her family is a little, they're on the struggle bus, with a lot of things. And I kind of go, oh yeah, I mean, it can be hard just day to day caring about the people that you care about most and doing what you think is right for them and also for you. Yep. And when that goes away, you really need a reset.
You do.
And that just won't happen overnight. Won't happen.
No, you're right.
You have to kind of build yourself back up okay, I'm a cool human still. I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot of it too is identity, there's this, I mean, we could go in so deep on this and I won't bore you guys. But there is a lot of identity involved. There's been a lot of changes in people's lives. And I had a very, very very close relationship with my parents. Not everybody does. We were friends. I mean, we talked all the time. It's like I lost a couple friends. And so the world is different. It's like like one person in my life said, it's a paradigm shift. And I'll get more into it like in a later show, because it's all very fascinating to me. I mean, I like deconstructing stuff like this because it helps me understand it. I like to intellectualize it, I guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
it helps
Go a
me
little
go
inward
beyond it.
sometimes. Doesn't
Yeah.
hurt any of us. You know?
Exactly.
Just to
I mean,
like
maybe
try
not
to figure
too
yourself
much,
out a
but-
little bit. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, come out of the
Don't go too
come
deep.
out of the guest room, guys. You know, let's see some sunshine and vitamin D. But no, I think what you're doing, and you know, everything that you're talking about is really healthy. And you know, kudos to anybody who's been through this beforehand as well. And you know, I know a lot of us have feelings about this sort of thing, and even if you don't, you still have empathetic feelings towards
Absolutely. Speaking of,
your brethren.
yeah, I'd like to shout out to Mike M for checking in with me yesterday. You demand, you know who you are. Thank
Aw,
you. You're
thanks,
a sweetheart.
Mike. Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, Heather, I'd like to talk about television for a second. How you
One
feel
of your
about
favorite
that?
pastimes. I love it.
True story. So I have my stuff. I watch my stuff. I've been very derailed by NBA stuff lately. The championship is now over. The Warriors won. We're good. We're gonna put a pin in that for a few months. Then it just starts again.
Were you like screaming in
but
your
yeah,
house when they won? Were you just like, I bet you were
screaming.
freaking out. You were just like so pumped.
screaming by myself, and there were Airbnb guests here, and they were outside, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, they either care or they don't, but like you would kind of know what I was screaming about. Yeah, absolutely blood curdling screams. So now that that's over, I'm kind of like trying to catch up on my John Oliver's, one of my favorite shows, and SNL's over now, but there've been a few other shows where I'm like, oh yeah, I've banked a few eps, but the show Barry, which I love very much, which had 2 seasons, and the last season ended in late 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like, I guess right around the time I moved to where I live now, which seems like
that was that long
a pretty
ago.
long time ago. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and I saw that there was a new season, you know, and they released them all at once, which is great. But I was sort of like, I was kind of saving it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to save it for a long weekend where I kind of can just like be in my underwear, you know, eating capers, whatever it is. Maybe
Do you
some
snack on
sardines.
capers like alone, like by themselves?
No, never. No. But like
would be
eggs and
weird.
capers all day. Anyway, so I saved it, and then I realized, because I was like, okay, so what happened in the finale of the last season? Like, I just need a little refresher. So I look online, and it's like, of course, like it's like this whole thing that I like barely remember because I was probably watching it like late at night and like closed my eyes, you know, a little too much for a few seconds type thing. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch that last episode again and then get into the new one. And that worked out great. I am fully caught up on Barry, and it is, I don't know, I love it, but I also think it's a very harsh show.
It is.
It's kind of like you kind of get these like, ooh, gut punches of like humanity all
You
the
do.
time, where you're
You
like,
do.
wow, people are like really fucked up on this show.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to still root for them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, no spoilers, of course. But I feel like it's like, ooh, scarier than ever. Like, what is going to happen
You
to
know,
these people? And it was renewed for a 4th season, so I know we will find out one way or another.
You know, it's an interesting. I've only watched I think the first episode of the new season, but I really like the show too, and it's a very interesting genre bending sort of thing because there's a seriousness to it. There's like an existential, like the main character is kind of trying to figure himself out, but it's also a comedy. And then you've got the crime element. It's like this dirty underbelly crime scene that is dark and twisted. And it's a very interesting, like bending of genres, I think. And they do a good job of it.
They do. it also kind of led me to, when someone says, "Oh, it's a dark comedy," I kind of go, "Okay, that, that I'm into it. Tell me more," kind of thing. This is the darkest comedy, like where it's like it's mostly actually like pretty disturbing and with hints of comedy.
Yeah.
So I almost don't really think it's a comedy. I think it's
No.
kind of a, like a thriller,
Like a
but,
dramedy.
a dramedy, I guess. Yeah, whatever the terms are. But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. Like again, I always use my mother as a barometer. Like if she was like, "Will I like Barry?" I'd be like, I don't know. You could probably
Yeah.
handle it, but I don't know if you would like it very much, Mom.
Yeah, I don't think Linnell might not be her choice of programming, but it reminds me a little bit of one show I have been trying. I've just been slowly watching an episode here and there because, I don't watch as much TV as I'd like to because we're watching movies, but I have been trying to catch up on the latest season of Better Call Saul, which I think is sort of similar in tone, but
Sure.
different. But because there's like this crime, there's this dirty underbelly crew, and then there's comedy too because you've got Bob Odenkirk and there's a darkness to it, but then there's also funny moments, and there's it might not be like laugh out loud funny, but Bob Odenkirk is a comedian, and so is what's his face from Barry. So actually, this is a really good segue for what I want to talk about. I just thought I would
Listen, I mean, forgetting names and faces all day, every day is my MO. So you are in good company
I
here.
love it. We're going to play a little game. I don't know how it's going to go. We're kind of winging it here, but I thought instead of going into a philosophical analysis of all these things that I think about and talk about all the time, I feel like maybe I've been a little heavy-handed with that stuff lately. So I thought maybe I'll just throw a couple fun things in today's show for you guys. So this I came across actually from a newsletter. I guess newsletters are like totally back, which is really interesting to me because they were.
Oh, they're back.
Yeah, they were a thing like in early. I don't know, Sarah. I mean, we always had newsletters related to. We in fact had a newsletter for this show way in the beginning, and back
Well,
in
the
kind of
problem is
internet
that
TV
RSS
and-
feeds went away. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have any options anymore. I'm sorry. I digress. Please continue.
So if you're in midlife, like Sarah and myself, you probably semi-often or often have the experience where a memory or a name is on the tip of your tongue or in the tip of your brain, and for the life of you, you cannot remember what it is, and it drives you crazy. I hate that. You hate that. We can call it a brain fart, if you will. In all honesty, I've actually never been.
Senior moment.
Senior
I sometimes
moment
say
is-
that.
I like that
where I'm
better.
like, okay, I'm not technically a senior, but I'm acting like one.
I like senior moment better because, in all honesty, I'm not a huge fan of the brain fart term. I don't know. It's not very sexy. But anyway.
Well,
for me-
anytime you use the word fart, people are like, ew, yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, my dad didn't let us say that word. And I always was like, so I always kind of thought it was like a
bad
bad
word?
word. Maybe not a
Really?
bad word, but like, yeah, he just didn't like it when we'd say it. So it kind of, isn't that interesting?
I don't remember there ever be. We had a moratorium on many words in my house. For example, if I told either of my parents to shut up, it's curtains for Sarah. But like, no, I don't remember a word like fart. I think I was probably just like, I think I was encouraged to use something else.
Sure. Sure.
If
like
I
a
needed
toot.
to talk about it for some reason.
So yeah, usually for me, when I get kind of stuck on something, it's like a director name or an actor name, maybe a title of a movie, or even like an everyday word that I'm trying to describe something so specific, and then I fall back on some word that it just generally describes what I'm talking about, but doesn't fulfill that like specific thing you're trying to explain. I hate that because when you drop the right word, it just feels really good and satisfying. So I came across a little helpful tool via this newsletter, and it's called Tip of My Tongue. So I'm going to kind of do a little example here. So Sarah, so let me explain. So it's basically, it looks like kind of an old sort of Internet 1.0 webpage. It's very basic. It's got a couple like cells where it's like, so you basically
Enter words.
Yes,
Yeah.
like partial word if you kind of know like what it starts with or what it contains and any like word or letter or what it ends with. And then you've got maybe like an example of like letters. Maybe it has an F in it, or maybe it doesn't have a certain letter in it. And then it goes on about kind of word meaning. So if maybe the synonym of it, but you just can't think of what the word is, blah, blah, blah. And they have one more refining search where you can do minimum length, maximum length, and then sounds like, which is fun. I haven't tried that one, but yeah, let's try it. I tried. Do you have a word on the top of your head that you can't think of?
Do you want me to give you a word?
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how this game is going to work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something
So
you get
here's a
stumped on
word
or something.
Here's a word that for whatever reason, because it's very much a brain F,
Yeah.
is something that I space all the time, and that word is predictable.
Oh, interesting. So
Because I'm apparently predictable and not remembering this word. It's like some weird, like, I don't even know what wormhole that's in, but I have a hard time with that word.
let me ask you this though. So if we're going to play this game, can you recall when you've been trying to scramble for the word predictable? Is the P prominent in your head? Is anything about that word prominent?
No. In fact, and I've probably done this with you, Heather, is that I will go like, that word when someone's going to do something and they're going to do it and then they do it anyway. They are. And almost every time the person looks at me and says predictable. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I know what I want, but I can't think of the word.
So you would do like a synonym kind of thing. So it would be like, so you don't.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and then maybe it would be so again, you've got these 4 sections that you can, obviously we don't know what this word is, so it could be really challenging. But like for example, I did one this morning, facetious. Because I think the spelling of facetious throws me. And so I also
feel like facetious and sarcastic people use interchangeably.
Yeah.
And they're not really the same words.
They're not the same. And
they're in the same category, but they're not the same.
I agree. And so again, like when I was doing the search for facetious, I knew that it started with an F and I knew there was a C or an S in it. Because it was like when something is lingering on the tip of my brain, usually there's a vibe to it. There's something. It's like, ooh, it's a short word. I know it's a short word, or I know it's and so again,
gosh, we are such word nerds, Heather.
We really are.
I mean,
Sarah and I, just as a little sidebar, Sarah and I spend a lot of time talking about words throughout the day, throughout the weekend.
Yeah. We are aspiring wordsmiths. I think we're both like not terrible at it, but we could be better.
I would love, I'm really into, I want to expand my vocabulary to a point where what I was saying earlier is like, God, finding that perfect specific, sure, you can use this word and it makes like sarcastic, for example, but facetious is a little bit more specific about, it is a different word, maybe not a great example, but
also like I've thought about this a lot, Heather, even though you and I did not talk about this beforehand. So I'm kind of steamrolling you right now, but like sarcastic has a little bit more of a, you're not necessarily doing it to be mean, but if you want to be mean, that's the word.
I agree. It's a little
Facetious
mocking.
is more of like opposite day.
Yep.
And like if you get me, then you know that I'm being facetious.
I agree.
I think sarcastic comes with a little bit more baggage.
Snark. Yeah, more baggage.
Snark.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a good way, like mocking or something. Like it's not as kind.
Like it's like if you're in on the joke, fine, but otherwise, like you're almost like trapping people a little bit sometimes.
Totally.
With your wit.
Yeah. No, I like to play games with my wit, but it's funny because I was thinking this morning, Sarah, because you sent me your Quordle QUORDLE score, and this is after we do Wordle.
Yours
was
better
first.
than mine.
I did pretty good today,
but barely. I still won, that's a feat.
I have lost a few Quordles in my time, and it made me think of how, like, I think maybe, like, I wonder. Okay, so we know that a lot of people share their Wordles with people. They have their person that they share it with, right? And then they talk about it or whatever. You are my person. But the Quordle thing, I just wonder, like, it's kind of more nerdy. Like, I would say that's like a bit
Yeah.
more of a nerd out, takes a little more time. And like, I love that we're doing that because it's really nerdy and I don't know anyone else who plays it on the regular.
And
And
I
I
don't
think
even
it's
play it
cool.
every day, but
Me
like
neither.
sometimes I'm kind of in my own world and I'm like, Heather did a good Quirtle. I'm in, like give me
It's like
50
competitive
minutes.
in a
I'll
way.
get
Yeah,
this. Yeah,
totally.
there's like very fun loving competition. This is how
Very
I
much
feel like
so.
a lot of people feel about lighthearted gambling. Where like I'm like, oh no, no gambling for me. But like it's kind of like that.
Totally.
There's
It
a little
is.
competition going on.
It's great. And then there's that like competition with myself where I'm like, oh, I just want to, yeah, good score. I want to impress and I want to impress myself, I want to impress others. And, again, I still have a lot of sadness that I lost all my stats when New York Times moved over Wordle. I know it's not a huge deal, clean slate, whatever, but I've been on such a good like roll lately. I'm like, oh man, it would have
Yeah.
been neat to see all my stats like up until now, but what are you going to do?
I mean, I wish I could be like, oh, here's what you do, but this already happened to me a few months
I think
ago,
you
and I
can
just
email
made
New York
peace with it. Where I'm
Times.
like, you know what, daily game. What do we care about the clutter of yesteryear? Just try to do your best today.
But it makes me think of that, like that John Wilson show, the How To with John Wilson on HBO, where he wrote down to try to just keep his, track of all of his stats, like his daily stats, like what he did with every single day of his life. And he wrote everything on a piece of paper. And there's something to say for that. Like I like looking back on stuff, and
It's like
you're a data
the
queen. You love that
commitment
stuff.
to it's funny. Hi mom, if you're listening. But I was at my mom's the other day, just kind of hanging out, and I don't know, the subject of Wordle came up because she plays every morning. She's kind of stopped texting me her
Results.
score every day. I don't know. She has a bunch of other ladies that she's playing with, but we still talk about it. But I was over there and she was describing to me how one of the people that she plays with, which is group text, is done before everyone else. She gets up early, but everyone knows that she always uses the same first words.
Oh, interesting.
So, so they were all like, it's not cool that she's giving us her answer because like it's now going to influence us.
Interesting.
Where I'm
Yeah, I
like,
didn't even think
mom,
about
just
that.
like don't look at the text. Like look at the text when you're ready to look at the text. Like the power is in your hands.
So
And
they
she was
won't
like,
say anything
no,
to her?
no, because it comes up on my phone and my watch, and I'm just gonna see something, and like I want to do it my way.
Does
This
her
is
friend
what-
realize that she's kind of
This is what 75-year-old women talk about, by the way, which is
Oh, boy.
amazing. But
It's
but yeah,
totally
it was- but again, mom, love you so much. You're my favorite person in the world. So when I was over there, I was like, yeah, well, if she always starts with the same letter, like that doesn't even really seem like that much fun,
No,
like
I don't like
really?
doing that.
Like always the same. And so my mom was like, well, look at this. She pulls out like a stack of like printed out pieces of paper with a like a staple in them that show all the first words that she's had and like
No way.
how they like either worked or didn't work in the end afterwards. Where I
Amazing.
was like, Mom,
like too
oh
much
my
time on your hands.
gosh.
No, just kidding.
Well,
No,
I
that's
mean,
actually a
this is what
fun
retirees do.
exercise. Yeah.
Not all the time. I mean, she has lots of things to deal with in life, but I was like, oh my gosh, Mom. Okay, all right.
Wow.
You really care about Wordle. I got it.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let us know what I don't know, are you guys playing Wordle? We don't really talk about it that much, but I'd love to, hear from you. I also wanted to let you know that if you want the link to this tip of my tongue little database, hit us up at hi@havesuchagoodday.com, or you can also comment on Patreon if you like. But I did want to mention one more thing before we move on, that because I did mention that I was going to give you two fun little things. So the second one, Sarah, you're going to like this. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that I'm some kind of trendsetter, though I was the first in my class to rock low top Converse and socks with flip flops and boxer shorts as shorts. But many years ago, and I remember this being in San Francisco because I have a friend, it's a mutual friend, Sarah, Ina, who's a photographer, and I worked with her a lot back in San Francisco. And she house sat a few times, and she took these 2 photographs of my 2 cats, Oscar at the time, and then Charlie, the mooch, who I still have. And I can't even tell you how good these portraits are. She really captured their essence.
She's a very, very talented person.
She really is.
100%.
Yeah. And so I ended up framing the one of Charlie. Well, actually, I framed both, but I didn't put them on the wall because I kind of felt like I didn't want to be that weird cat person. But like, I still have the pictures, and they're so great. And so I had been thinking about how cool that would be. This is way back when, whatever it was probably like, 2010, a little bit around there. And, I kept thinking, God, it'd be really cool to like offer people who lost a pet like a portrait or like some kind of drawing, or it could be anything. It could be a photograph or a painting, whatever. And I always thought, that'd be really cool, I should do that. Never did. But what's interesting is that now it's like this whole custom pet portraiture thing is totally exploded. It's a thing. And I was like, oh man, I always do this. Like I'll come up with some idea and then I never do it. And then I'm like, oh, well, now everyone else is doing it. But I mean, I could still do it. It's fine. But, anyway, so, I think I shared, some photos way back when Elijah, my boyfriend, made pet replicas of my current cats. And they're like little, not stuffed animals, but they're just like little dolls in a way, but they have like fur. They're really interesting. And there's a woman on Instagram that he found that does this. And so during the pandemic, this is probably a few years ago now, he secretly got sent photographs and had this artist, I think she was based in LA. He got on the wait list and she made these replicas, and they're amazing. They're so much fun. So I know that Elijah wants a replica of some kind of his dog Frank. So I'm in the process of getting a painting made for Frank the Tank. So don't tell anyone. But
okay, well, I hope Elijah doesn't listen to the podcast.
He doesn't. He hasn't. Okay. So he's a busy guy. So
many people in my life don't either. So we're good.
Yeah,
we're good. Everybody hush hush.
I think we're safe. Episode 153. I mean, come on, he's so behind. So. Yeah, so I came across some woman who does it. I mean, there's all kinds of people out there. There's actually, I have like probably at least 5 references for artists that do different styles. In fact, they're very different. One does like black and white, sort of watercolor. Another one does more like acrylic. And then there's like even stylistic differences. And so it's really interesting. And I was thinking about, why is this such a trend right now? Like, has this become such a thing? And I mean, it's kind of because of the pandemic again. It's like all of these things that are coming out. We talked about this many episodes back, where bad times, rough times create new art. Art is cyclical. People do art during, I know that I do more art when I'm kind of suffering because, I don't know, I'm more inspired in a way.
It's an outlet.
It's an outlet. And a lot of crazy artists in history were pretty dark, and they made their best art during like a hard, tough time. So anyway, more time at home, lost jobs, need for side hustles and art projects apart from making sourdough bread, opportunities to be away from your work space, do something different. And maybe we started to appreciate our pets more since we spent more time together at home and realize what really matters, and the fact that they have such brief lives here on earth and that they deserve to be celebrated and all that. And so I like this. This was like kind of a cool, so I put together a bunch of links to all these different artists who do these different kind of renditions of people's pets, and they have varying costs. Some are more than others. But if you want any of these links to these artists, hit me up at hi@havesuchagaday.com, because I'm planning on, I definitely want to get a Frank the Tank up on the wall soon.
You're also like kind of a natural curator about this sort of thing, Heather.
I know.
You should think about this going forward. Like, if it brings you joy, it could bring a lot of other people joy.
Oh, like just letting people know about this type of stuff, or actually doing the art
just
myself?
being like, here's a thing. Here's why you like this thing, and I have curated this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me help you.
Yeah. Hey,
I
man.
think that's actually, like you're in your element there.
Oh, I am. And you're not the first one who has said it even recently. But I mean, it's like that maximizer thing that we talk about. Like, I spend so much of my time like curating my experiences and my life to my liking, to what I think it should be.
Yeah,
And
but it's a comfort level thing. Like,
it is a comfort.
Really, yeah.
It's comfort, it's control. I mean, I do not think I'm a control freak, but I do think sometimes it can be to a fault, because if you curate so much and you make your experiences so high quality, then you might be disappointed if they're not up to par.
Well,
so
yeah.
I have to
anytime you get a little, ooh, but this is not what I
Yes.
expected, then you could be like, oh no, it's ruined.
Exactly. But Sarah, I've totally thought of different like side businesses around this type of thing, like curating of some kind. But then I always fall into like, but like Gwyneth Paltrow does it. Like I wouldn't do it on that level, but like,
You don't have to do a Goop, clone.
no, it would not be. It would be like a very quirky
Which, by the
version.
way, like for the record, there's been plenty of stuff on Goop where I was like, I'm into this.
Oh, of course.
Just not necessarily
the
everything.
newsletter.
I,
Yeah,
I
I mean-
think it's it's easy to laugh at, but like, yeah, come on.
No, she's good at her. She lives a certain life. She lives in a little certain bubble, and she knows that bubble really well. And the people who live in those types of bubbles are probably benefiting a lot from her curation. And there's something out there for everybody. And I think I would have a certain type of person that would be interested in my ideas. And it's just, again, like, do I have that energy and that time to launch a business?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It's an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah,
for
it is.
sure.
Oh, I have
that is
that.
something
For sure.
I mean, you do more than I do. I mean, not that I, wouldn't be able to start a business, but like, I've said before, like, I am actually a great worker bee.
You are. I'd hire
give me
you.
tasks, I
Yeah.
will do them. And, sometimes like big picture stuff, I'm like, can we do this tomorrow? Like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm depleted
Yeah.
already from
Yeah.
doing all my tasks.
See, I like doing all that I'm like, I have ideas coming out of my ears. It actually drives me crazy. And I'm like I said, I write them all down in my notes, and I'm like, but I get so overwhelmed because I have so many of them. And I'm like, which one do I pursue? Like, I don't know, like they're all fun in different ways. And I'm like, but I can't decide on, do I do that screenplay? Do I do that documentary? Do I do it? It really
I mean,
is.
I think a lot of people would say, where's the most lucrative option that you
Sure.
have?
Yeah.
But, when you're talking, and listen, life is hard, of course. Let's all, get as rich as possible. But when it really comes to like what would make you happy every day, that is sort of a sometimes hard answer. Of,
It is.
Oh, what, of my like high level ideas could actually be executed and, I'd make a bunch of people happy and be fulfilled myself.
And I think for me, like I could do several of them if I had the right people in place to help with the stuff that maybe I'm not as good at, to help like I can, I know what my skills are, but like, I don't execute these things because I can't just do it by myself. Like it's like people who have writing partners, and people who sort
Yeah.
of, they work really well together and they can get something off the ground together. And it's like peanut butter and jelly, it's like coffee and cream. I mean,
It's like string cheese and me.
or no, wait, what's one of your weird snacks? Peanut butter and celery. No, that's not weird.
No.
No.
Well, no, peanut butter and
Capers
celery.
and
I've had quite a
cottage
bit.
cheese.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
You've never
Heather.
put capers and cottage cheese. I don't believe that.
Never once. No,
No.
because the sausages are too salty on their own. The capers are only going to oversalt it. I have thought about it.
I'm sure
Just
you
haven't
have.
done it.
See, I have this cooking idea for you, Sarah. Got to make a cookbook about your wacky little treats, but
Listen, I treat my kitchen like chemistry. It's like, all right, what do we got here? Can we make
let's
something
mix
that's
and
edible?
match.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I have my options, and I do a fair amount of ordering in as well. I don't want to make it seem like I'm Martha Stewart up in here, But yeah, like last night, for example, I was like, all right, what do I got? I got some shallots. I got some broccoli.
Shallots.
I've got some pepper jack. All right. Yeah, that's dinner.
Making a stir fry. Yeah.
A little stir fry.
I love a good shallot, man.
Without really any sort of protein source, but it was good. I liked it.
I love it.
Was fine.
And honestly, I sometimes I like prefer a shallot over like a regular onion. I don't know about you, because they're like more mild,
Love
less
the shallot.
spicy, just kind of good shallots.
Less of that sort of like, ooh, onion. Got it.
It's not so oniony. Yeah, maybe it's not spicy.
That's actually a really good question. Like, why do people like shallots so much? Because I don't feel like they're onions, but they're not far.
Yeah.
But they're not super sweet. Like, I
That's
don't
why I
ever
like
buy
them.
sweet onions.
I don't like sweet onions either. No way in hell, Sarah. I love
Absolutely
it.
not.
This one episode has run the gamut of topics.
It
like
really
they
has.
do.
On that note, because I know we all have things to do and your time is precious, just wanted to remind everybody that if you want to become a patron, directly support the show. That is how we keep the lights on week after week. Do so by going to patreon.com/have such a good day. Thank you so much in advance. And speaking of new patrons, we just got a new one. And that patron's name is Joe. Woo, Joe. Really glad to have you
Joe.
along for the ride.
Hey, Joe, what you doing?
Don't make it bad.
Oh, the
Yeah.
gun in your hand. That's what it is. That's a great song, and there's a lot of covers. That are also great.
I went Jude.
Oh, hey, Jude. Yeah, there's that too. But you know what? I thank you, Joe, for joining us. We're so happy to have you. And I
Yes,
wanted to
thank
mention
you,
too,
Joe.
we haven't been as prolific in Discord, and I apologize for that. We gotta bounce back in there and see what y'all are up to. But gosh, it's so funny. I had a friend that reached out who hasn't reached out in a bit, and she said something like, "Gosh, you know how sometimes like life just sweeps you up, like for like a period of time, and just like you just kind of go on this little journey, and then you kind of come back to earth, and you're like, oh, whoa, like I haven't replied to these emails, or I haven't, it's like you kind of go off on these little journeys, and then come back and have to like do some
little mini
some
journey of life.
housekeeping. Yeah,
Been there. Yeah.
weekly, daily, even sometimes. So we miss you guys.
We do. And just a reminder that everybody who is a patron of the show at the $5 or more level, you can be part of our Discord. You could lurk. You could not do it at all, or you could talk all day long. We will take y'all because we love you.
do.
Reminder where to send our emails, hi@havesuchagooddday.com. And I think, Heather, we're going to wrap up.
I think we are.
Episode 153.
Man, it's
Look
like,
at us.
when's the next palindrome? When is the next big celebratory number, Sarah?
It'll be 161.
See, you're already keeping track of this. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's not hard to keep track
obvious.
of, but
It's a palindrome. Like, I'm not making it up.
it's going to be weird when we get to like 333 or 666. Those
Yes,
are
it
gonna
will.
be
And if we're
palindromes
alive by
plus.
666, big old applause for us.
Yeah, we'll be old biddies by then. But I just want a friendly reminder, y'all, stay beautiful. And I will remain Heather until next week.
I will remain Sarah as well. And we hope until we meet again, you have such a good day.
Bye.